We have Ryan Caith here. He's over in the corner. He's from KERM, KGOS Radio. So this council meeting is being broadcast live on the radio and also on YouTube. We also have Jess Oakes over here. She represents the Torrington Telegram. This is Tuesday, January 16th, 2024. This is the second council meeting of the year and the second council meeting in January. Our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance, and I've asked Councilman Shane Victorin to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilman Rick Patterson is unable to be with us tonight. He and his wife are ill, so we send our thoughts and prayers their way for a speedy recovery. If you haven't been hiding under a rock or vacationing in a warm area, you know that we are now deep into the winter season. Thank you to all the residents and property owners for keeping your sidewalks clear of ice and snow. Thank you to the Streets and Sanitation Department for their quick and efficient snow removal on the designated routes and streets. Thank you to the private snow removal contractors for all they do, including cooperating with the city's snow removal efforts to work toward the most efficient snow removal. Given the several days of sub-zero temperatures, I also want to thank those who are in the water and wastewater department for keeping things flowing efficiently. I know their work is tough in these sub-zero temperatures. For everyone, because of these sub-zero temperatures can be life-threatening and even deadly, take extra care to watch out for yourselves and especially your older relatives, friends, and neighbors. It is a good thing to visit them and make sure that they have appropriate heat, food, and transportation if necessary. Finally, keep an eye on your pets and the pets in your neighborhood, that we may all take extra care for them in this very frigid weather. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is approval of the consent agenda, which includes the minutes from the January 2nd, 24 council meeting as published.
Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion to approve.
I have a motion from Councilman Deal to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Kelly. Is there any further discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none, I will call for a vote. All those in favor of approval of the consent agenda as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, the consent agenda as presented is approved. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda itself.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to approve the agenda as presented.
I have a motion from Councilman Victorin to approve the agenda as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Kelly. Any discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote on that. All those in favor of approval of the agenda as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, the agenda is approved. I know we have Dr. Cynthia Porter here. She is signed up to speak at what we call the public forum. So all know what we're doing here. This is for non-agenda items. There is a time limit of 2 minutes, and the speaker must sign up before the meeting. This is a time for council to listen. No action will be taken. Dr. Porter, you may come up here. I'll just give everybody a little heads up. You did fill out the form. Thank you very much. And she wishes to address the following topic. Thank you. Suggestions for city ordinances that would help support Torrington High School. So, Dr. Porter, you have the floor for a couple of minutes.
Mayor Doby, thank you. City Council, thank you for having me. I just wanted to present to you some suggestions that I'm bringing from my previous position in Rock Springs. What you have in front of you are city ordinances from Rock Springs. There are two of them that I'd like to draw your attention to, the daytime curfew and the breach of peace. The daytime curfew would be annotated under 3-244. It's about midway through the packet. And the other is the 3-307, the riot and breach of peace, noise pollution. Specifically in there, I'd like to draw your attention to the breach of peace. If I had my druthers and could only pick one, I would advocate today for the daytime curfew. Just to give you a quick summary of what that daytime curfew means is similar to an evening curfew. The daytime curfew means any minor that is supposed to be assigned to a place such as a school needs to be in that school. And if they're not in that place where they're assigned to be, then they could be cited. Now, how I would imagine this would be used is, of course, going through all the proper progressions to give students the opportunity to do the right thing, to stop wandering the halls, to not skip school, not be skipping school in the school parking lot, and not be in the zipline park across the street. So after we work through all of those and still have no success, I would imagine that would be the opportunity then to issue what would be that city ordinance citation for breaching or rather violating the daytime curfew. They're not where they're assigned to be. So you can read more in detail about how that was worded, and if you had any questions for further discussion, I'd be happy to talk to you more about how that was used in Rock Springs and how I would imagine that would be used to support our students in Torrington who seem to have some troubles getting to where they need to be during the day. I'll leave the breach of peace one for a separate conversation. It's pretty straightforward. It just discusses no fighting in public places. Obviously, don't disrupt the peace in a public space such as a school. So that one's pretty straightforward. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Dr. Porter. We appreciate it. Next item on the agenda are the action items. The first one is a public hearing, so council will now be leaving regular session and will now convene for a public hearing. The item in the public hearing section this evening is retail liquor license transfer, license term February 1, 24 through March 31, 24. I would call on Deputy Clerk Sylvia Naya.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. This is just a standard liquor license transfer. We are in the current term, so it will only be for a couple of months, February and March. If the transfer is approved tonight, the applicants will have to turn around and immediately submit a renewal to be considered with the rest of our renewals, the second meeting in February. I do believe Mr. Eric Reichert is here to address any questions you guys may have regarding their proposal.
All right, thank you, Deputy Clerk. And as noted, this is a public hearing, so we will take public comments for and against, and you may come forward and speak. And I'll tell you, we've already been introduced to you by Deputy Clerk, but please state your name for the record.
I'm Eric Reichert with Essential Fuels. I'm the president owner of Essential Fuels, and what we're trying to do here is just we own the liquor license when we purchased the WTT location, but it was leased to the 307 bar, and we're trying to get that just back in our name, and then we'll have that part of the business back in our business. So that's the kind of the short version of what we're trying to do. And I mean, nothing will really change in there other than it'll be under our name.
Okay, and you would plan to go ahead and apply for the license?
Correct.
Coming up?
Correct.
Hey, gentlemen, do you have any questions for Mr. Reichert?
So you're saying the packaged liquor store will remain the same?
Correct. Currently, at our other locations, we have all the packaged liquor. When we purchased this one, it was the way the liquor license is, it was leased to 307 bar. So we're just trying to get that packaged liquor side of it back under our control.
And it will remain in the same location?
Nothing will change there. the goal here is to kind of maybe do a refresh in that facility. So it'll be in the same spot, but, do get a little refresher to the building. So, but yes, it'll be in the same spot. So that's about the only place you could have the drive-through there, so. Yep.
I'm just wondering about where the restaurant location was. There's a door and access there.
It's still, that's not gonna change. We're working through what we're gonna be doing in that area. So we'll see how that kind of comes together. But as of right now, it's just gonna be the packaged liquors, the big portion we're gonna be using. And then probably when we're applying here in another month or so, we'll have a little better idea what we're gonna be doing in that other space.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Riker, just so I'm clear on what you're saying, the package area, the west end of the building.
Correct.
You'll still remain using as package sales.
Correct.
The next to the east, what would I consider the bar area,
Mm-hmm.
that will remain as well?
That will remain. We're probably not going to be opened up by the time this liquor license will expire. But yes, that will be open as well. Just, it's going to take me a little time to get
Sure.
that process, after we do kind of a remodel cleanup in there. It just takes time.
Sure. But your intention overall is to still have an area to
Correct.
dispense liquor?
Correct.
Okay.
But the area now known as the restaurant liquor will not be available, or alcohol won't be available there? Even with the meals?
Currently, their lease is up the 31st of this month, so they'll be out of that location by the end of the month, and then we're working to do some other items in there, but the liquor will still be in there. It's the packaged liquor and then also the retail.
So the area serving the liquor won't be changed at all?
I say that again.
The area serving the liquor won't change at all?
Other than more or less a paint job, we're not going to be moving the bar around or anything like that.
Just out of curiosity, how many employees were you going to have?
So with the liquor side of it here, we'll be adding 2 to 3 into the fuel station side of it. The restaurant side of it, I can't answer that right now. I don't know exactly what that's going to look like. It'll definitely be quite a few employees. I'm guessing at least 15, but don't quote me on that yet because I don't know what that, how that's all going to be brought together.
Any further questions? I don't see any. Thank you, Mr. Riker.
Thank you.
This is a public comment time for and against. Are there any out there other than Mr. Riker who want to speak for this transfer? I see no takers. Is there anybody out there who wants to speak against this transfer? I see no takers for that either. So I will close the public hearing and we will move to a vote. I would entertain a motion to approve the transfer as set forth in item A of sub A of item 1.
Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion to approve the liquor license transfer.
I have a motion from Councilman Deal to approve the liquor license transfer as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Victorin. Any further discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote on that motion. All those in favor of approval of the retail liquor license transfer set forth in item 1A signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, that liquor license transfer is approved.
Thank you.
We will, now council will return to regular session for item number 2. Item number 2 is a request for council approval of a mayor's appointment to the Safety Committee for a 2-year term, which would expire on 12/31 of '25. The proposed person to be placed on the Safety Committee is Joshua Oderman, who is from Emergency Medical Services. He would be replacing Albert Lira, who has very recently retired from EMS and his work at the city.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to approve the mayoral appointment of Joshua Oderman to the Safety Committee.
Thank you, Councilman Victor, and I have a motion to approve appointing Joshua Oderman for a 2-year term to the Safety Committee. Do I have a second?
Second.
I think Councilman Kelly beat you. Second from Councilman Kelly. Any further discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving for a 2-year term to the Safety Committee, Joshua Oderman, set forth in item 2A, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, Mr. Oderman is approved to be on the Safety Committee. Next item on the agenda is a request to approve or award a bid for the cemetery booster pump station electrical upgrade. Staff recommends awarding the bid to High Point Electric, Inc. of Torrington, Wyoming, in the amount of $184,772, with a reserve of $9,583, which is 5.19%, for a contingency for a total project of $194,355. And first, I would call on Director of Public Works, Harkins.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. As you stated, Mr. Mayor, we're recommending an award to High Point Electric. Basically, this project consists of upgrades to the cemetery booster pump station by installing new variable frequency drives to the existing pumps, installing new electrical equipment, including disconnects, distribution panels, lighting, transformer, and receptacles, and reconnecting power through the existing ATS and from the existing standby generator. Upgrades are to correct deficiencies, improve efficiencies, and provide a long-term reliable and maintainable operation. The bid opening was held on January 3rd, 2024. 2 bids were submitted in conformance with the bidding requirements and are given below and summarized on the attached bid tabulation sheet. As you can see, High Point Electric was substantially lower than the second bid from Robinson Electric, WYO LLC. The contractor's been given the option of when to start and 90 calendar days to complete the project, and has to be substantially complete by June 28th, 2024. Funding for this project was established in the 2024 fiscal year budget under account 5172885 in the amount of $95,000. The balance of the funding, $99,355, will come from account number 519130 from savings that was realized from the very favorable bid received on the Public Works Garage Edition. I will answer any questions. Tom Troxell's also here if you have any questions for Tom.
The only question I would have was, there's like $80,000 difference between the bids. Did you figure out anything for that much of a spread?
In this current climate, this has been fairly typical on a lot of the bids we've been receiving. Some are 80, 100. Like the Public Works Garage building, I think it was $180-some thousand difference between the low and the next highest bid. So it's just the climate we're working in. Some people are more hungry than others at certain times of the year.
Seems like a big spread for a small project, though.
I agree.
As long as it works, I guess we're okay.
Well, yeah, it's even with the spread like you're saying, I mean, what we anticipated it to cost, we're almost double what we anticipated it to cost. So it's still it's just one of those times where things are really strange.
Mr. Mayor, I'm curious how old this facility is and all of the appurtenances inside it.
Tom, you want to take that one? For my time.
Thank you for coming, Mr. Troxel. Appreciate your being here.
Yes, sir.
And that's probably, your question is Mr. or Councilman Victorine is probably best addressed by Tom, if you don't mind.
There is a picture right there of the facility. To the best of our understanding, it was built in 1984. About the same time the high zone tank was put into place up at the hospital. All the stamping on the pipes and everything was 1984. What I tried to do to mitigate cost of things is do a little bit over time, do a little bit here, a little bit there. The pump and motors, if you see the motors in the back there, there's two of them in there. I had the pumps completely replaced, rebuilt below, that's down below, and the electric motors replaced already. The previous electric motors that was in there was not compatible with VFDs, with variable frequency drive, so a couple of years ago we did that. A couple of years ago we blasted and had the pipes all painted and the floor painted. If you take a good look just on the ceiling, you can kind of see the shoddy electrical work, the shoddy means of insulating that block building. Not only are we just doing electrical upgrades, but we're going to fully fur the inside of that building out and re-insulate it, make it a little more energy efficient. The VFDs will help and make it more energy efficient as well. The windows, they're double pane, so I think we'll probably just leave them for now. If we want to later down the road, I think we could come in and block them in, but for right now, I think we'll just leave it. And then how we're going to finish the interior of the building is with a FRP panel. So they'll fur that out, they'll put treated plywood on the walls, and then that FRP board, it's a white board, will be put over top of the plywood. Then that electrical panel in that corner to the right, that'll be replaced. And then if we can go to the next picture, that is the south side with the generator transfer switch. I think there's step-down transformer there, and then we have the SCADA panel, and then the other electrical panels. And all this stuff is going to have to be stripped, so this booster station will be out of commission when they do the construction. Will have to be stripped, set aside, and for the construction to take place. And then they'll come back in and put all the new electrical up, new conduit, and it'll be good to go for another 30, 40 years.
So this bid includes all that electrical work and everything too?
Yes.
Not just replacing the pump or the motors?
No, I've already done that.
Oh, but it
But
takes
it's
care of all the electrical?
all the
you're talking about.
removal of the electrical and install new electrical panels to bring them up to code. All of this electrical work was stated in our level 1 study, water study that we had done a few years ago. We're trying to knock pieces of that at various sites around town, and this was a higher priority than most of them, so we chose to start here.
Now, is the only tower or water tower this feeds is the one at the cemetery?
This pulls from, Dennis, this pulls from the towers at the cemetery and feeds the high zone,
Well, it feeds the high zone.
yes. We have redundancy built in for the city now, thanks to the state of Wyoming. We now have 3 booster stations supply water to the high zone. The same booster station that sends water to the prison, we configured it so all we got to do is some valving and it will provide water to the high zone. Then the West C booster by the maintenance shop there, by the highway maintenance shop, will provide water to the high zone as well. So it'll be, in the future, it'll be easy for whoever's working at the water department 20 years down the road to make a transition to upgrade a booster station, because they'll have 3 to choose from. Well, probably the next one will be West C. They need to do something with West C, because that was built in '84 too. West C is done. We got the VFDs in West C. We did that last year. This one here, believe me, when we got the bids, it knocked us all over. This is like today, I called a pump supplier. We're replacing a pump. Well, we were gonna replace a pump at the lift station. And when I seen the price, I said, no, I need another quote. I want a quote to rebuild it, because the price was $19,000. And just a few years ago, it was costing us like $7,500 to replace a pump. So like Jeff said, the cost is just, the last couple of years have been just crazy. And as far as, attached to your agenda was the bid documents, bid tabs. And you really can't tell from them what the discrepancy was either. But maybe one contractor was hungrier than the other. I suspect that Robinson Electric, he's got a lot of work in the valley, Scottsbluff County, and in the area. He does work all over the place.
I assume, Tom, that during this time period of upgrade, that while this station is offline, that the other 2 can certainly handle the load.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Any other questions?
Just, it looks like this contractor will be doing this in the later spring months, if it's got to be complete by June 28th.
And it's a local contractor.
Yes.
Were the contractors at the bid opening?
I believe so, yes. Both of them.
So we would not, make sure it's not a typo.
No, it wasn't a typo.
Think of all the facilities I've been in for the city of Torrington, I don't think I've ever been in that one.
That's a block building?
Yes. And I had to have that, I didn't know that insulation, what it was, so I had to have it tested for asbestos. Thank goodness it isn't.
So, sidebar on all of this, what feeds the cemetery tank
The water plant.
plant itself?
Well, I appreciate the visual. I think it makes it
Yes, thank
much
you.
easier for us to understand and you to explain when we have something to look at. So thank you, Dennis and Tom. And
You bet.
gentlemen, any further questions for Director of Public Works Harkins or Water Supervisor Troxel? Or anybody else? I would entertain a motion on item number 3 to approve and award the bid for the cemetery booster pump station electrical upgrade as presented.
So moved.
I have motion from Councilman Kelly. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Victorin. Any further discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving and awarding the bid on the cemetery booster pump station electrical upgrade set forth in item 3 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, that award bid is approved. Next item on the agenda is item number 4. Request to approve award a bid on a new 3/4 ton crew cab pickup. Staff recommends awarding the bid to Yoder Fleet and Commercial of Greeley, Colorado in the amount of $52,255. And I would first call on Mrs. Strecker.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. We opened bids on January 10th at 2 p.m. We did receive 3 bids. The lower bid, Yoder Fleet and Commercial, is out of state, so you can see there that I added the 5% for your comparison purposes only. So you can compare apples to apples there. And it is still the low bid. Staff recommends awarding the bid, and I believe Mr. Kenyon is here if you have any questions on the truck itself.
All right, before we call Mr. Kenyon up, gentlemen, do you have any questions for Mrs. Strecker? Mr. Kenyon, if you would come up. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening. Do you want to start out, or do you want us to ask questions?
I'll stand for your questions. I think it's pretty straightforward, so.
50%, just so those listening can understand, 50% of the price of this pickup is going to be funded by a grant.
Yes, sir. In your emergency management grant program at the state.
And that's been approved.
Yes, sir. That's a reimbursement type grant. We spend the money and then they reimburse the match there.
Okay. And this vehicle from Yoder Fleet and Commercial that staff is recommending that we approve, that is a pickup that's sufficient for your needs for this purpose?
Yes, sir. It's a 2024 GMC crew cab long box. It's what we went to bid for. And just a little background information, Yoder Fleet and Commercial is the new group bidding group, I guess is the best way to call it, for what is called Weld County Garage in Greeley, which is a company the city's done business with. When I was on the city council, we used to buy medium duty and heavy duty trucks from Weld County Garage. They're a large dealership, and they own several dealerships of different brands and stuff like that. So this is kind of their fleet concentration.
I only want to have one question.
Yes, sir.
Bottom of the page in the recommendations, it mentions an option 2. What is the option 2?
Right above that,
Right above it.
Councilman Kelly, are the 3 options listed, and it's the second option.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, that's your options as the council. Approve, don't approve.
Does the grant just pay half of the vehicle purchase, or will it also pay for half of the outfitting of the vehicle?
The grant is for the total project.
Okay.
So we have an estimated total project cost of $75,000 for the upfitting and extra equipment that'll go into the truck. So the city, you guys through the council, through the previous meeting when we did the resolution, approved the city's match of $37,500. This truck did come in a few $1,000s less than expected, so we won't be quite as tight, but what we spend will be reimbursed at 50%.
Very good.
Delivery says 30 days. They got it in stock.
30 days from award of the bid, from when we do the paperwork. The truck is in production,
Oh, okay.
so they anticipate that there's no problem with that, meeting that delivery.
And this truck will replace a 2010 vehicle that you've been using?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it will replace a 2010 Tahoe that was surplus equipment from the South Dakota Highway Patrol.
And this is a gas burner, right?
Yes, sir.
Any further questions for Mr. Kenyon or for Mrs. Strecker? I don't see any. Thank you, sir. If there are no further questions, I would entertain a motion on item number 4.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to approve and award the bid to Yoder Fleet and Commercial in the amount set forth in option 2.
I have a motion from Councilman Victorin to approve the award of the bid for the new 3/4 ton crew cab pickup as set forth in item 4, and for the amount set forth in item 4. Do I have a second?
Second.
I think Councilman Deal won that time. Second by Councilman Deal. Any further discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote on that. All those in favor of approving and awarding the bid for the new 3/4 ton pickup as set forth in item 4 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, that bid set forth in item 4 is approved and awarded. Next item on the agenda, gentlemen, is the approval of the bills from January 3rd, 24 to January 16th of 24, and I will call on Mrs. Stricker, Clerk Treasurer.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Attached to your agenda were a list of bills. Also handed out tonight was an additional set of bills for your consideration. I'd be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Mr. Mayor, Treasurer Strucker, I just have one question on the first set for City Service Falcon. It's for the Phillips 66 terminal maintenance fee, and I'm just curious, even though we terminated that branding with Phillips 66, we still pay a terminal maintenance fee to that vendor?
They are still processing our credit cards for us.
Okay.
And they'd prefer to do that since they do accept some other cards that we don't normally accept. So,
Okay.
I guess the question I have would be from Mr. Harkins. On the second page, the DBT Transportation Services, quarterly beacon maintenance, what is that? I assume it's for the airport.
You're correct. It's for the airport nav aids maintenance. We pay, and I think it's 80% reimbursable from the state for this maintenance program for our nav aids up there at the airport.
And they have to come in quarterly and do that,
It's quarterly.
just to make sure it works?
So the total price, I think, is around $4,800 to $5,000, something like that for a year. And 80% of that is reimbursed by the state.
Okay.
It used to be 100%, but just recently they changed that percentage ratio to 80/20.
Mr. Mayor, just a point of information, and you may not even know the answer, Mr. Harkins. The remaining unused kilowatt hours for Eric Alden, is that likely as a result of the solar panels? And I see the deputy chief is here tonight, so I just have to ask him a question since the chief is not here tonight. The tow charge for the PD, that was not one of the new vehicles, hopefully?
No, that's one of our chargers that we keep having issues with.
Okay, thank you.
Well, if there's no further questions, I would move to pay the bills as presented.
I have a motion from Councilman Kelly on item number 5 to approve the bills as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Victorine. Any further discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval of the bills as set forth in item number 5 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, those bills set forth in item 5 are approved. Next item on the agenda is public comment, and I did get a well-written report from Fire Chief Lance Petch earlier this afternoon, and he wasn't sure if he would be able to make it, but he indeed has made it. So if you would come forward, we'd take your report, Chief Petch.
Evening, Mayor and Council. Sorry I was a little late. I help coach middle school basketball, so we had a game in Gearing tonight. So, busy weekend for the fire service. Busier than what we would like, but better than it could have been. So, last week we had a motor vehicle accident south of town. I think it was around Silvertip, maybe in south there. On Sunday, we had a structure fire here in town. And then this morning about 5:15, we had a call up at the care center. And then 9 o'clock this morning, we had another call, kind of a propane smell. So a little busy this weekend. Not the most enjoyable with the weather being cold out, but we still had good response, I think, for all of our calls. On the structure fire, we did ask for some help from Yoder Mutual Aid, as much for the overhaul aspect. We had to tear quite a bit of ceiling out and some walls. So when we do that, we try to clean up as best we can. So we put some tarps in there that we try to pull the insulation and everything down. And so it takes a little bit of time and effort to get all that cleaned up out of the house to try to do the best you can. So apparatus was good. It's always a concern when the weather is as cold as it was that you're going to have problems with stuff freezing up. But luckily, we're able to keep stuff circulating, water flowing and whatnot, so we didn't have any issues that way. So busy, but, you know, could have been worse. So
Chief, I'm curious what the issue was with the rescue unit and if it has returned to service.
not 100% sure. They still working on that, Dennis?
They've been having issues with the gas gauge, but the truck never gets empty on gas. So they took it out the other day and the fuel pump quit on them. So they brought it to the shop, drained the tank, got it lowered out, and ordered a fuel pump. It was supposed to be here today. I don't know if it showed up this afternoon or not.
So right now we have some of that equipment in the back of another vehicle, Fire 2. So we can use Fire 2 as a somewhat rescue right now. So we still have the equipment in service. We just don't have that truck in service at this time. So, I mean, if we would happen to have a wreck, we're still able to show up and do our job. So.
Very good, thank you.
Mayor, I would like to say with your help last year, we replaced the hoist that it's sitting on right now. We never could lift that truck up or a truck of that type. We replaced that hoist out to a heavier hoist. moved the one that was there to the other end of the shop, and we now use it for mower lift, so we can put mowers on it with an attachment. So it's really nice to get that truck lifted up to get that fuel tank out of there.
Good, thank you, Mr. Estes, appreciate that. And I know from your report that you guys have extra trouble when it's this cold out with your equipment and getting that water out before it gets frozen and dealing with it once it's frozen, and everything went okay with that?
Yeah, it was good. You know, another issue with that is you're spraying water and it's 20 below, you create an ice rink as well. So then it becomes a safety hazard for, you know, walking around and maneuvering on scene. But we didn't have any issues with that. And so I think the equipment worked well. We did some good stuff. And I think the guys did a really nice job. The entry team on the structure fire kind of kept it where it was and limited the damage. I mean, it's still significant damage to the house, but could have been a lot worse.
Are the residents still able to live there, or did they have to move out?
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Chief.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right, folks, it is still public comment time, and I would ask, is there anybody out there that has a comment they would like to make?
I'd just like to comment to Tom, tell your crew thanks for fixing the water lines in the cold. No, it wasn't fun.
Well, we should be warming up. According to the weather forecast, it's supposed to get warmer, and we might get some snow tomorrow, according to Ed back there. I don't know which one he looks at, but we'll just assume maybe we'll get some tomorrow night, so. All right. Gentlemen, do you have any further public comments? Hearing none from council and seeing none from out there, we have completed this agenda, so this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, folks.